Hey there, looters. Flutes here. Today I want to talk about a concept I call enhanced spell components to reward spellcasters without breaking the bank. Today on Flutes Loot. Reminder if you're new here that there's a link in the description that goes to an article accompanying this video. Flutesloot.com is where Opal and I write content, as well as some other guest writers, and we like to create videos here on YouTube to accompany them. So we've already taken all the notes for you, and you can go bookmark that if you want, or use it to follow along while you listen to this video. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything did a great job bringing more spellcaster magic items to help spellcasters become better at spells, and I think that was great. Feats, items, you name it. Tasha's was a big boon to spellcasters. The Dungeon Master's Guide before that talked about generally rewarding players with things like supernatural gifts and boons, especially at epic level play where they're already level 20, to give them a sense of progression or something to obtain beyond just level 20. What I propose to you today is kind of an expounding on those principles that are clearly in the game and the designers want us DMs to be doing to reward players. An enhanced spell component is either verbal, somatic, or material. To enhance a spell component, you just need to give a player the chance to get something that is one of those three things, but like a higher version of it. One example of this would be in the Elder Scrolls Skyrim game, where you learn different dragon shouts, that they're called. There's 3 parts to them, and if you get all 3 parts, it makes them stronger. Another example would be Avatar: The Last Airbender, where the stronger your martial arts and your body movements are, the better your elemental bending would be. The same could be with your somatic components for spells. And the material components are kind of self-explanatory. You could get the material component for the spell at its base, or you could find a greater version of it. So like with Fireball, where it's like bat guano, what if a higher version of it would be the excrement, if there is any, of a fire elemental? It's a really easy way to reward spellcasters without worrying about some crazy magic item, unless you give them a really powerful component. And note this, it allows players who pick spells that are, quote, suboptimal, like they don't do the best damage or their effects aren't the best, and make those spell choices more relevant by making the spell better through a little component. Instead of homebrewing that the spell is different entirely, learn something new to enhance the spell. If your characters meet an archmage and the wizard's like, oh, teach me all your spells, maybe they don't have time to just copy all the spells down and that's boring, but what if they say, I see you've learned to cast Fireball, but what about Inferno Ball or something like that, and they teach some special somatic components that they've studied out to make Fireball even stronger. Who knows? The answer is you know, because you're the DM and you know what you would allow. So if this idea sounds fun to you as a DM and you're like, oh, my spellcasters would love this kind of concept and it's very rich and it's part of the narrative and the storytelling, it's great, then here are some ideas for what sort of component benefits you could give your players. One component enhancement would be to do an automatic upcasting. So again, with the Fireball example, let's say you get an enhanced material component for it, and then whenever you cast Fireball, instead of doing 8d6 at its base 3rd level spell slot, it does 10d6, and then it scales normally from there. That would be really cool to give to your Pyromancer player character to just make them better at casting Fireball at everyone else, because they have the special component that really enhances the spell. Component idea number 2, mimic what the sorcerers get with meta magic. You learn special words for a spell that allow it to be casted as a bonus action. You give them a component that can be sewn under their palm skin so that they can cast a spell subtly by just squeezing their palm ever so slightly in their pocket. The spell's range is doubled as you give them a material component that's more refined and sharp, as if to spearhead the spell further. Any of the meta magic options for a sorcerer could be mimicked through an enhanced component. A very powerful version of an enhanced spell component could be to not need a spell slot to cast it. This mimics the wizard's level 18 spell mastery ability, where they basically can turn a 1st and 2nd level spell into a cantrip for them. This is very powerful, and so I don't recommend it at low levels unless it's a very specific spell that is kind of not going to break the game or like make all your combat encounters willy-nilly, to help them use spells that they really like without having to sacrifice spell slots. And they could also experiment with other spells with their actual spell slots, because they're using their signature spells like the wizard without needing spell slots. You could raise the spell's DC slightly with an enhanced component. You could double cast a spell. So there's twin casting meta magic, right? You pick 2 targets for a single target spell. But what if you made it so an enhanced spell component allow you to double cast? Like, I keep using the Fireball example because I think it's a spell we all understand and you can picture. You cast Fireball on the same spot twice. So it does 16d6 with 2 dex saves. That would be pretty crazy, right? So that could be a very powerful version as well. But again, With enhanced spell components, you get to pick which spells you are enhancing. So instead of doing Fireball, you could do something weaker like Thunder Wave. You do it in like both directions around you instead of like in one or something like that. You know, different things like that. Be creative. Another powerful component enhancement would be to not require concentration on a certain spell that normally would. If you have a player character who's always concentrating on the same spell and that's their bread and butter, they're always going to do it, this might not be a bad idea if you don't think it's going to break the game to let them not concentrate on it so they can actually try something else and try two things at once. I know for a fact that negating concentration on a spell is very powerful. I saw it in the very first campaign I played in as a player where someone was able to concentrate on two spells at once, and that was very powerful. You could also add on new effects to a spell that had nothing to do with what it did before. When you cast the web spell, you could gain a bunch of webs upon your own body that hardens and gives you a +2 to AC while you're concentrating on your web spell. When you cast Fireball, you could teleport right to where you make the fireball detonate, not hurting yourself with the fireball, but right after it detonates, you appear right where the explosion was in the middle of it, you know, like an action movie style. Very cool. When you cast Darkness, all nearby light sources, in addition to the area of darkness you create, is snuffed out. So all the torches, even in the area you're not targeting, go out as long as they're within your line of sight. Maybe when you cast Ice Knife, any water that's nearby you turns to ice. Could be something more mechanical based, like when you cast Gift of Alacrity, you also give a d20 of a lucky use to someone. That would be very cool. You gain +2 to your saving throws, like a war wizard, as they're empowered when they're concentrating to do better on their saving throws. Or you grant temporary hit points to a bunch of people around you, like maybe when you cast False Life, you give an area of effect temporary hit point boost to all your allies within 10 feet of you or something like that. So here's some ideas for some specific enhanced components just to get your brain going. If you wanted to enhance the Dream spell, you might want to get hold of a Night Hag's Bag of Souls. This could also enhance Phantasmal Force, I would think. It could be used to force disadvantage on anyone you're casting the spell on because that Night Hag bag is so potent. Let's say you want to enhance Polymorph so that they keep their mind intact and they don't become bestial and feral while they're polymorphed. Maybe you get some pixie dust and then they get to keep their mind intact while they are polymorphed. For a verbal component enhancement, a Cloud Giant could teach you special words from the giant language that allows you to cast Fog Cloud in a way that you also gain a flying speed during the first round that you cast the spell. So you cast Fog Cloud, you could fly up to get up onto a cliff while no one can see you fly. That would be pretty cool. And that's just a verbal component, not like a physical one. Do you notice how this could convince players to parlay with monsters as well? Because they want to learn those monsters' tricks and not just kill them. That's an added benefit if you want more storytelling and less hack and slash. The Gaseous Form spell is pretty cool, and it kind of resembles what vampires can do when they go back to their coffins. So let's say you get a Vampire Lord's Tooth, and you pull it out, and then you can cast Gaseous Form as a reaction when you take damage, so it becomes a defensive option outside of your turn. Acid Arrow could be twinned when you gain a jar of gelatinous cube ooze. There's a few more ideas in the article if you follow the link in the description if you want to check out just a few more ideas. So how does this affect your narrative? You can weave in enhanced spell components by letting characters know that it's going to be a thing, either out of game like session 0, or let them know through characters in the game and say like, oh, if you have a Yeti's Eye, it allows you to specially cast spells like Cone of Cold to greater effect. And then when they hear that, they want to harvest a Yeti's eyes. Instead of killing the Yeti, they could learn that Yetis can use their paralysis vision to embed information into you about how to cast Cone of Cold better if you gain favor with the Yeti, which are evil, so good luck with that. But if that's part of your story that you want to make happen, you're the DM, you'll make it happen. There might be monsters who are kind of built to be component sacks, like the flail snail, but there also might be monsters who are primed to hold secrets, ancient knowledge of spells and how they can be cast more potently, like the Sphinx. If player characters could answer a Sphinx's riddle or do a favor for it, it might give them special words, ancient and unknown, to enhance their spell casting for a particular spell. And again, this encourages them to get allies and not body parts if you go this route, where instead of saying, oh, I kill a dragon, I take its scales, I make dragon armor, that's what D&D is, there might be more of an incentive, like Skyrim, to learn a new word in Draconic from that dragon that can be used for spellcasting, ancient magic that only they know. This way, your characters aren't just a bunch of Mega Man characters who kill the boss and then take their powers. This becomes you wanting to make allies, or at least having narrative weight to interacting with these monsters. And not just monsters, right? In Skyrim, the Greybeards are a bunch of monks on top of a mountain who know the ancient dragon language, and having allies like that could be important for your characters to learn better spell components. Ancient ruins, like in Skyrim again, can have ancient words on them if they can read Draconic. This also makes it so knowing languages is important, because if you don't know how to speak Draconic, for example, just learning like blah, like to kind of mimic the dragon's words is probably not going to enhance the intricacies of your spell. You need to know the language, and so this actually makes it more valuable to have languages that you know. If you like Matthew Colville's book, Strongholds and Followers, this would also allow you to give research to a mage's tower or a wizard's stronghold, where their underlings get to research spells while the main wizard is out adventuring or whatever. So when your party gets back from some big adventure, maybe you sunsetted a certain plot vein that they were going through, and they defeated the boss, and now they're level 5 or level 10, and they have a little bit of downtime before the next BBEG or thread is put in front of them. They have some downtime. They could learn how to enhance their spells with the strongholds and followers they've been setting up. That could be a great way to keep your characters busy during downtime other than just shopping and gambling. Whole quests could be about this, by the way, especially for warlocks. In Critical Role Season 2, I remember Ford, played by Travis, before he gave up his warlocky ways, more or less, was rewarded by completing tasks that his patron had given him. And you could do the same thing with warlocks. You know, they're given tasks and they're given power in return, which is how warlocks should work. So I highly encourage that. Other planes of existence are ripe for enhanced spell components, as are heroic deeds and epic boons that I mentioned earlier. Those are things that you can use to get players to go do epic quests that are in other planes of existence, because in the plane of fire, that's the perfect place to learn how to enhance your fireball spell if you survive. And I'm going to say it again just in case you missed it the first time. This allows you to reward and bolster players who make suboptimal choices with their characters. There's plenty of content, including from me, about like which spells are best for a wizard. What about those spells you want to be good, but they just don't keep up? Give them enhanced spell components, and all of a sudden, characters who are suboptimal, especially your newer players, will feel much cooler as they keep up with some of the more veteran players, let's say. So, enhanced spell components. What do you think? Have you used anything like this in your game before? If you made it this far in the video, tell me your thoughts. Or if you don't have anything to say, go to the comments and try to spell Fusroda from Skyrim, because I brought that up so much. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, so every time we come out with a video, you will know about it because you are a diligent player, and I'm your BBEG, I guess, and you're scrying on me to keep an eye on what's going on because I'm actually creating content for you. Check out Opal's videos as well. We've got plenty of them at this point, and we'll keep bringing them for you. So use enhanced spell components and have a great adventure this weekend. I'll see you later.